Hey everyone, it's your host Freya, and welcome back to our special summer NFL mini-series, Learning America Through Football. So far, we've explored the famous rivalries of the NFC East, the dramatic contrasts of the AFC East, and the rich traditions of the NFC North. Today, we're traveling to a part of the United States where football has become woven into the identity of entire communities. Imagine standing on a bridge overlooking 3 rivers. The air is cool, the leaves have begun to change color, and thousands of people dressed in black and gold are making their way toward a football stadium. Years ago, many of them might have finished a shift at a steel mill before heading to the game. Today, the steel mills are quieter, but the passion for football remains as strong as ever. Welcome to the AFC North. If the NFC North is the division of tradition, the AFC North is the division of resilience. Its cities were built by steel workers, factory workers, dock workers, and generations of immigrants who came to the U.S. looking for opportunity. Football became more than just a game. It became a source of pride. Today, we'll travel through Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Baltimore, and Cincinnati to discover how these cities helped shape the history of the NFL and how the NFL became part of their own stories. Let's begin with the geography. Unlike some NFL divisions that stretch across thousands of miles, the AFC North is relatively compact. The 4 teams are located in Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Maryland. The region is filled with rivers, rolling hills, and the western edge of the Appalachian Mountains. For centuries, these rivers were essentially highways, carrying coal, iron, steel, and manufactured goods across the country. As industries grew, so did the cities. Millions of immigrants from Europe settled here during the 19th and early 20th centuries, finding work in factories, steel mills, railroads, and shipyards. You may hear people talk about the Rust Belt. The Rust Belt refers to a region of the northeastern and midwestern United States that was once dominated by heavy industry and manufacturing. Beginning in the late 20th century, many factories closed or moved, leading to economic challenges for many of these cities. Today, places like Pittsburgh and Cleveland have reinvented themselves, adding industries such as healthcare, education, technology, and finance, while still taking great pride in their industrial history. That history helps us explain why football became so important here. The values celebrated in these communities, hard work, perseverance, teamwork, and resilience, are the same qualities many fans admire on the football field. The AFC North itself has an interesting history. For many years, it was known as the AFC Central before the NFL reorganized its divisions in 2002. The rivalries, however, go back much further. This is one of the league's toughest divisions where familiar opponents have been playing each other for generations, something they have in common with the NFC North we talked about last time. And perhaps no story better illustrates the passion of these fan bases than what happened in Cleveland during the 1990s. When the Cleveland Browns moved to Baltimore, many fans were devastated. But we'll come back to that remarkable story a little later. Our first stop today is Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Few cities are more closely connected to football than Pittsburgh. The city sits where the Allegheny and Monongahela rivers meet to form the Ohio River, giving Pittsburgh the name the City of Bridges. In fact, it has more than 400 bridges. which is more than Venice, Italy. For much of its history, Pittsburgh was one of the world's great steel-producing cities. The smoke from steel mills once filled the sky, and generations of families worked long hours producing the steel that helped build bridges, railroads, ships, and skyscrapers across the U.S. Although the city's economy has changed dramatically, that blue-collar identity remains an important part of Pittsburgh's character. The Pittsburgh Steelers proudly reflect that history. Even their name honors the steelworkers who built the city. During the 1970s, the Steelers became one of the greatest teams in NFL history. Led by legendary coach Chuck Noll and stars like Terry Bradshaw, Franco Harris, and Joe Green, they won 4 Super Bowls in just 6 seasons. Their defense became known as the Steel Curtain, a nickname that played on the Iron Curtain from communist Europe, and it was a nickname that perfectly combined football with Pittsburgh's industrial heritage. Here's another useful English word we have also mentioned before. A dynasty in sports is a team that dominates its sport for many years, winning championships consistently. The Steelers of the 1970s are considered one of the NFL's greatest dynasties. Today, Pittsburgh has won 6 total Super Bowls, tying for the most in NFL history. Yet, perhaps what stands out most isn't the championships, it's the fans. Steelers supporters are famous for waving bright yellow, terrible towels during games. What began as a simple promotional idea in the 1970s has become one of the most recognizable traditions in American sports. Walk through downtown Pittsburgh on game day and you'll see black and gold almost everywhere. Football isn't just something people watch, it's the city's identity. Our next stop is Cleveland, Ohio. If Pittsburgh represents championships, Cleveland represents loyalty. The Cleveland Browns are one of the NFL's oldest franchises, and they're named after one of football's greatest innovators, Paul Brown. Brown helped introduce ideas that are common in football today, including detailed playbooks, classroom film study, and more organized coaching methods. In many ways, modern football owes a great deal to his influence. But the Browns are known for something else as well. Their fans have remained loyal through some of the most difficult years any professional sports team has ever experienced. And that says a lot coming from a Lions fan. That loyalty reached its greatest test in 1995. The team's owner announced that the Browns would be moving to Baltimore. For Cleveland, it was heartbreaking. Imagine supporting the same team your entire life only to discover it was leaving your city. Fans protested, some cried, others simply couldn't believe it. The move became one of the most controversial moments in American sports history. Unlike most relocations, however, this story had an unusual ending. The NFL reached an agreement that allowed Cleveland to keep the Browns' name, colors, and history. A few years later, a new Browns team returned to the city. For many fans, it felt like welcoming home a member of the family who had been gone for too long. That experience helps explain why Browns fans remain some of the NFL's most devoted supporters today. Our journey now takes us east to Baltimore, Maryland. Although Baltimore is one of the AFC North's newest football cities, it has one of the division's most fascinating stories. As we just learned, the Ravens began play in 1996 after the original Cleveland Browns franchise moved to Baltimore. The move was painful for Cleveland fans, but it also gave Baltimore a chance to welcome professional football back to a city that had once lost its own NFL team, the Colts, when they moved to Indianapolis in 1984. So in a way, both Baltimore and Cleveland understand what it's like to lose a football team. And that shared history helps explain why the Browns-Ravens rivalry remains one of the most emotional in the NFL. But where did the name Ravens come from? Unlike many teams named after animals, simply because they sound strong or intimidating, Baltimore's football team has a literary connection. The name comes from The Raven, the famous poem by Edgar Allan Poe. Poe spent the final years of his life in Baltimore and is buried there today. His poem, first published in 1845, remains one of the best-known works of American literature. It's a wonderful reminder that sports teams often reflect the history and culture of the places they represent, and that sports and art don't need to be separate. Baltimore itself is a historic port city on the Chesapeake Bay. For centuries, ships carried goods in and out of its harbor, making it one of the most important ports on the East Coast. Today, visitors know Baltimore for its beautiful inner harbor, its seafood, especially Maryland blue crabs, and its rich maritime history. On the football field, however, the Ravens quickly earned a very different reputation: defense. The Ravens have long been known for tough physical defense. Their 2000 championship team is often considered one of the greatest defensive teams in NFL history, led by legendary linebacker Ray Lewis and safety Ed Reed. More recently, the Ravens have become one of the NFL's most exciting teams, especially offenses, thanks to quarterback Lamar Jackson. Jackson's speed and athletic ability have changed the way many people think about the quarterback position. Instead of relying only on passing the ball, he's equally dangerous as a runner, making every play unpredictable. Now let's make our final stop. Welcome to Cincinnati, Ohio. Although Cincinnati is in Ohio, it sits directly on the Ohio River across from the state of Kentucky. Because of its location, the city often feels like a meeting point between the American Midwest and the American South. You can see that blend in the local culture, the food, and even the accents you hear around the city. Like the Browns, the Bengals also have a connection to Paul Brown. After leaving Cleveland, Brown founded the Cincinnati Bengals in 1968. It's one of the reasons the Browns and Bengals share so much football history. The Bengals have spent much of their existence as underdogs. They've reached the Super Bowl several times, but are still searching for their first championship. Recently, however, the team has become one of the AFC's strongest contenders, led by quarterback Joe Burrow. Burrow has helped give Cincinnati fans something they've waited a long time for: genuine optimism. Here's another useful English word. An underdog is a person or team that isn't expected to win. People often enjoy cheering for underdogs because they love seeing someone overcome the odds. For many years, the Bengals embraced that identity. Today, they're proving they can compete with anyone in the league. One thing you'll notice throughout the AFC North is how deeply each fan base identifies with its team. In Pittsburgh, black and gold isn't just a color combination, it's part of the city's identity. In Cleveland, the Dog Pound has become one of football's most famous cheering sections, representing fans who continue supporting their team through every high and every low. In Baltimore, Ravens fans take great pride in their defensive tradition and their city's resilience. And in Cincinnati, a new generation of supporters has rediscovered the excitement of meaningful football games. Perhaps that's because these cities have something important in common. None of them are famous for movie stars or glamorous lifestyles. Instead, they're cities that value hard work, community, and perseverance. Their football teams reflect those same values. That's one reason the rivalries here feel so personal. When the Steelers and Ravens meet, fans expect a physical, hard-fought game between two organizations known for toughness. When the Browns face the Ravens, the history of the relocation still adds emotion to every meeting. And when the Bengals play either their Ohio rival or travel to Pittsburgh or Baltimore, every game feels like an opportunity to prove they belong among the league's best. These rivalries aren't built on geography alone. They're built on decades of shared history, unforgettable games, and communities that care deeply about their teams. Today, the AFC North remains one of the NFL's strongest and most competitive divisions where anybody could win each season. The Baltimore Ravens continue to be annual championship contenders thanks to their strong organization and the exciting play of Lamar Jackson. The Pittsburgh Steelers have earned a reputation for remarkable consistency. No matter who is on the roster, they always seem to find a way to compete, and their fans expect nothing less. The Cincinnati Bengals have become one of the league's rising powers. After years of being underdogs, they've shown they can challenge the NFL's very best. And in Cleveland, Browns fans continue to hope that the stability and success they've waited so patiently for will finally arrive. One thing that stands out about the AFC North is how closely each team reflects its city. The Steelers represent Pittsburgh's steelmaking heritage and hardworking spirit. The Browns remind us that loyalty can survive even the most difficult setbacks. The Ravens connect football with the history, literature, and resilience of Baltimore. And the Bengals represent a city that sits at the crossroads of two regions, proudly carving out its own identity. That's one of the reasons I enjoy learning about this division. Football gives us an excuse to explore places we might never have visited otherwise. Along the way, we learn about rivers that helped build cities, immigrants who shaped communities, famous writers like Edgar Allan Poe, and the industries that transformed the U.S. Football doesn't exist in isolation. Every team has a story, every city has a history, and every fan base reflects the people who call that place home. And before we finish, don't forget this word resilience, which means the ability to recover from difficulties and keep moving forward after challenges or disappointments. It's a word we've used several times throughout this NFL miniseries, and I don't think any division represents it better than the AFC North. Whether it's Pittsburgh adapting after the decline of the steel industry, Cleveland welcoming back its beloved Browns, Baltimore building a new football identity, or Cincinnati waiting decades for another chance to compete for a championship, resilience is a thread that connects all four cities. And perhaps that's why football means so much here. It's a game that rewards teamwork, determination, and the belief that no matter what happened last season or even yesterday, there's always another opportunity ahead. Now I'm curious, if you could experience one AFC North city, which would you choose? Would you wave a terrible towel in Pittsburgh, experience the dog pound in Cleveland, explore Baltimore's historic Inner Harbor, or spend a fall weekend along the Ohio River in Cincinnati? Let me know. Thanks for listening to the Sharing English podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd love it if you'd subscribe, leave a rating or review, and share the podcast with a friend who's also learning English. You can find out more about me and the podcast at our website, www.sharing-english.com. New episodes of the Sharing English podcast are available weekly wherever you listen to podcasts. As always, let me know, what topics are you interested in hearing more about? Until next time, keep listening, keep learning, and keep sharing English.